Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, the place to be for all things personal finance and money. I'm Alissa Todd, and today I'm joined by David McCuaig, who is a business lawyer. He's the founder of Sona Legal. Thank you so much for being here.
You're very welcome.
I'm super excited to dive into some of the topics that we have going on for today, as well as next week's video. So in today's video, you'll learn a couple documents that you really should review as a business owner. There's a lot of things that you have going on, but these are two documents that you might want to take a look at, and David will go over what they are and the importance of doing so.
Right, absolutely. So today we're going to be talking about the first document is going to be our operating agreement for an LLC, if that's how we've chosen to structure our business. And number two, we're going to be talking a little bit about our NDA, which is short for a non-disclosure agreement. Now, obviously I could talk for hours about both of these documents, but we'll focus on kind of two pinpoint issues that I see come up a lot that tend to be relatively easy fixes and can really help protect your business and help you grow.
Okay, awesome. So we'll jump right into it.
Okay, great. So the first tip that we're going to be talking about today is for our LLC Operating Agreement.
Okay.
So for those of you that don't know, LLC is an acronym for a limited liability company, and it's a type of business entity that a lot of business owners here in California and throughout the United States love to use to protect and operate their business.
Okay.
And so the LLC is governed by a little document that we call the operating agreement. The operating agreement covers a lot of the basics about how the company is going to be run and who the company's owned by, and what happens if, something happens to one of the members of the company, or if they want to sell their interest in the company. The operating agreement is going to be kind of your key document that regulates how those things are supposed to happen.
So super important to have in your business.
Right, absolutely. So we're going to talk about the general idea of today's topic is that you should always be looking at your operating agreement from time to time and just making sure that it's compliant with whatever new laws are coming out, and making sure that it's still in line with the intent of the owners of the LLC. So I'm going to give you one quick example of that. In 2018, as many of you know, there was a new tax law that was passed. And one of the small things that they added to that tax law was a couple of changes to the way that the IRS audits your limited liability companies. Basically what happened from a broad view level is that instead of being audited at the individual owner level, they're now auditing at the LLC level itself. Okay. And so there's a requirement now that in your operating agreement or otherwise you designate a partnership representative to deal with the IRS in the unfortunate event that you get audited, which obviously none of us are a fan of in the first place, right? So if it's gonna happen and we're gonna have to deal with it, it's very important that you have provisions in your operating agreement that ensure that that interaction with the IRS is gonna take place in a way that you want it to happen. Generally speaking, you just need to go in there, find who you want to designate as your partnership representative, and it's typically gonna be a tax specialist like a CPA. There's also specific companies that act in that capacity. Okay. Another thing that you can do if you're small enough as a company is you can actually opt out of this stuff and kind of say, hey, look, we want to go back to the way it was before 2018, where all this audit stuff kind of happened at the owner level, right? Where we can have our own personal CPAs deal with the IRS, where we maybe feel a little bit more comfortable in those interactions. Now here in California, there is one little caveat to that. Unfortunately, if you own your membership interest in an LLC through a trust, which many of us do, right? Because we don't want to end up in probate in California. You can't opt out.
Gotcha.
So you have to have that provision in place, and you got to make sure that it's tailored to your specific needs as a business owner.
California typically has a few extra rules when it comes to things in business, right? So especially if you're a business owner watching in California, be sure to review your agreement, especially, I'm sure you've seen it in some cases where business owners have an agreement in place and then don't review it at all, and it can be outdated. So you want to ensure that everything is up to date, and you can always consult with a business attorney. So going into the second tip, I think you're going to be talking about NDAs, right?
Correct.
What does it stand for? What's an NDA?
So an NDA stands for a non-disclosure agreement. It's a document that actually a lot of us kind of tend to say, hey, look, we don't want to engage a lawyer for this one. We're just going to do it ourselves. I found a good one on Google. Let's just plug that one in, right? And I get it. It's tempting. You don't want to pay for the lawyer. There's so many out there. You think we can get this done. Well, there are some potential pitfalls with that approach, so that's what I want to talk about a little bit here. Number one is simply, what is confidential information? I think a lot of times people pull those documents from the internet and they're pulling some sort of predefined definition of confidential information, right? It'll say something like our client list, financial information, trade secrets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What one person's definition of confidential information might not work for your purposes in your business.
Right.
So number one is it's just really important to tighten up that definition of what is the information that you're actually trying to protect.
Spelled out, laid out exactly how you interpret it as well, so that
Right.
there's no confusion
Right.
around any of your terms.
And we've seen companies lose significant amounts of money because they didn't take those, that extra half hour with the lawyer to sit down and make sure that that's dialed in.
As laws and the landscape of business changes, it's your responsibility as a business owner to ensure that your business is in compliance with the ever-changing landscape of business. So whether you're a brand new business owner or whether you've been in business for many years, it's a good time to sit down with a business attorney like David to review all of your contracts and all of your agreements, just to ensure that everything is being done correctly. For other questions and tips that you want to know about your business, be sure to reach out to David. I'm going to have all of your contact information and your social media links in the description box below so that our viewers can reach out to you with any of their questions. Next week's video, I am super excited. We're going to be talking about social media influencers and how that impacts your business and some of the things that you need to do to protect yourself as well. So be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss that video next week. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, David, for being here.
You're very welcome.
And sharing your tips. And we will see you next week. Bye, guys.